Alright, go ahead and subscribe. You have already subscribed. Thank you for watching so far. Now, I will say this. I have never believed in blind loyalty. I believe that loyalty is earned, so is respect. And also, you should be mindful how you talk to people. But for some reason, it seems like President Obama has thrown that into the wind to support Kamala Harris. Now, here's the thing about this, and I feel very strongly about this. Am I planning on voting for Kamala Harris? No. And the main reason why is because I didn't feel like she earned it. Now, Obama wanted to sit here, and I'll play the video in a minute, and say that, you know, the support that he had is nowhere near as much as for Kamala, and he wants to say it's for black women. It's because she is a black woman. And I strongly disagree with that. It has nothing to do with the fact that she's a quote-unquote black woman. And he likes to say that she grew up like us and around us and all this other kind of stuff. Even if all that is true, which it is not, but even if all that is true, it's simply for the fact, the big difference between Barack Obama and Kamala Harris. Well, for one, she wanted to separate herself from Barack Obama. She hated the comparisons of her and Obama for the longest time. Let's put that out there. And the other thing is, whenever Barack Obama was running back in 2018, he ran. That man sprinted for this office of the White House. And that's the crazy thing about it. Think about it for a second. You remember Obama going to campaign rallies. You remember him doing interviews, having debates. Barack Obama didn't dodge any question, any circumstance. He stood 10 toes down and made sure the American people knew who he was, or what he wanted them to perceive who he was. Now, when it comes to Kamala, we had no such thing. She didn't run and we chose her to be a Democrat nominee to be president. She was just thrown to us. Now, just because I'm not planning on voting for Kamala doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to vote for Trump. I'm not voting for Trump either. Personally, I'm going to choose to vote for the Green Party. And I really do hope, well, my ideal is, I really do hope that we have enough support of the Green Party to where it'll be a viable third party option in future elections, to where it's just not red or blue, it's red, blue, or green, because it's very rare that you see in a democratic process in multiple free countries that is just a two-party system. And let's be real here, it's very easy to buy a two-party country compared to a 3, 4, or 5-party. But okay, let's go ahead and play where Obama's going to go ahead and, you know, talk down to black men. Like, we have no sense and we can't think for ourselves. And before I get into that, let's be 100% honest here. Black men are talked down to by white people, by a lot of the time our women who tell us that we're just not good enough. We get talked down and disrespected even by our own kids at times. So for you to come out here and to talk down to a black man who has to go through everything on his own, get it from the mud, and we see everybody else getting an advantage and it turned against us, that's not the right play to go about that. Anyways, let's go ahead and play this right quick.
I'm going to go ahead and just speak some truths, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Because my understanding, based on reports I'm getting from campaigns and communities, is that we have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. Now, I also want to say that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. So if you don't mind, just for a second, I'm going to speak to y'all directly and say that when you have a choice that is this clear, when on the one hand you have somebody who grew up like you, knows you, went to college with you, understands the struggles concrete proposals to directly address the things that are vital in our neighborhoods and our communities, from housing to making sure that our mothers and our fathers and our grandparents can afford medicine, and making sure that we are dealing with prices that are too high and rents that are too high, and are committed to making sure that we maintain the Affordable Care Act, so everybody's got help it, and cares about things like education and entrepreneurship in our neighborhoods. And that's on one side. And on the other side, you have someone who has consistently shown disregard, not just for the communities, but for you as a person. And you're thinking about sitting out? But, you know, Cousin Pookie might be. And you're coming up with all kinds of reasons and excuses. I've got a problem with that. Because part of it makes me think, and I'm speaking to men directly now, part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president. And you're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that. And I think anybody you are talking to in a barbershop, anybody you are talking to in your house, in your family, at church, who is coming with that kind of attitude, I think you have to ask them, well, how can that be? Because the women in our lives have been getting our backs this entire time. They've been raising us and working and having our backs. And when we get in trouble and the system's not working for us, they're the ones who are out there marching and protesting. And so now you're thinking about sitting out or even supporting somebody who has a history of denigrating you because you think that's a sign of strength, because that's what being a man is, putting women down. That's not acceptable. That's not it. This shouldn't even be a question.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a question. And the things he's talking about are things that Black Americans know about. And when I say Black Americans, I'm also speaking on Obama about that too. Because let's be real here. Barack Obama wouldn't have become president of the United States if it wasn't for Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama has 100% roots in America. She could trace back her lineage to before the Civil War. She's even could trace her lineage from the Gullah tribes, I think of South Carolina, I want to say. And she's from South Detroit, if I remember correctly. Went to Princeton and Harvard. So Michelle Obama gave Barack Obama credibility and law of his blackness. And let's just call it for what it is. That's what it really is. If a Barack Obama would have came out, a man who's mixed, whose father is from, I think, Kenya, I want to say. His mother is white. And again, not a Black American, and from the father's side, because you can't understand a Black male point of view growing up in that aspect of it. His mom had a wealthy family, was from a wealthy, or I'll say this, an upper middle class family. Again, can't relate to us at all. And if he would have married a white woman and tried to run for president of the United States, he would have had zero Black support. And then you have Kamala Harris. who flip-flops on being black and Indian, who was largely single her whole entire life, who grew up in an upper middle class family also, who grew up in going to nice high schools in suburbs. So she don't relate to that aspect of Black America, because most of her formative years where she probably would have been discriminated against was in Canada. Yes, she went to a historically black college for I think 3 years. She ended up marrying a white man. Now, here's the thing about who you marry. And I will stand on this 100%. You're going to listen to your spouse more than any other advisor that you have in your cabinet. Because your spouse is supposed to have your best interest 100% of the time. So Michelle Obama could give Barack a different perspective. He's going to do whatever he wants to do. But at least he's going to have a black American woman telling him, hey, you should do this, you should say this, you should dress this way, making sure he put his best foot forward 100% of the time. Compared to Kamala's husband, who's been divorced, who has allegations of abuse, who's has multiple kids outside of her, isn't the best look. So whatever he would put forward will not benefit the people that Obama is trying to talk down to right now. She has no connections to her black roots, because whenever Kamala actually does speak, I keep hearing the term word salad. It doesn't make any sense. She's not a good speaker. She's not a good debater. I haven't seen anything about her that made her earn this position, because in 2020 she failed, and there are a lot of great Democratic potentials that could have ran instead, that would have beat Trump. A lot. You took a woman who's part of a failing economy and trying to push her forward. You took a woman and trying to say, hey, you did it for me, when you yourself, Mr. President Obama, ran out with passion and had support of all communities because you knew how to talk and try to relate to us, mainly because of your black wife. You didn't necessarily act entitled to our vote. You went out and earned it and worked for it. And large part of that was your wife, because your wife was out there speaking on those campaign trails too. I remember hearing her talk. I remember seeing her in all those conventions and everything else. So, President Obama did more harm than good in this situation, unfortunately. And I think he realized it a little after the fact, and I'll play a video as to, well, I'll go ahead and do this now. And then I'll play the reactions of black men or just black people in general who didn't like what he had to say.
I'm basketball fan Barack Obama. I'm going to talk about my favorite starting five. If I just put together a team where I would enjoy watching it and I think they'd beat anybody. I'm from Chicago. MJ, Michael Jordan at shooting guard. I'd put LeBron at point forward. A bunch of times he'd be bringing up the ball and he'd be distributing. He'd basically be doing some of the stuff that he did recently in the Olympics, and that is a pretty good approximation of what Magic Johnson could do. But I want a little shooting and a little flair. I'm going to put my friend Steph Curry into the mix, because we're in the three-point era and he is the greatest shooter of all time, bar none. At center, I'm going to put Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon, whose game I think translates to today's game. He was such an amazing athlete, an anchor on defense. He's going to give you everything you need out of the center position. This last spot is tough, but I think, especially given today's game, I've got to go with Kevin Durant, KD, who may be the most efficient, effective scorer in the history of basketball. I'm feeling pretty good about that five, beating just about anybody. From one basketball fan to another, I hope you watch Starting Five, only on Netflix.
And again, there's nothing wrong with having a conversation about who your starting five be, but it's kind of interesting that comes out after you got such a bad negative reaction from not only black men but also black women, how you're trying to talk down to us to support a woman that doesn't deserve our support yet. She didn't go out there and earn it. No matter what you say about Trump, he's out there trying to earn it. Am I going to vote for him? Hell no. No matter what you say about you, Mr. President Obama, you really worked out there hard to earn it, you and your wife. Kamala has done nothing but just show up. She didn't win the primary. She actually called Joe Biden a racist, if I remember correctly, during one of the debates, or strongly implied it during the 2020 when she was trying to run. And Joe Biden has such a strong push to get a woman VP or a black person as a VP. He came up with Kamala. So again, she just kind of just fell into the position. She didn't earn it. She couldn't have earned it. She didn't earn it. Okay, that's fine. So let's see how other people feel about the situation.
Hey, black man, you voting for Kamala Harris? Because you know Obama told you to. Let's talk about it. So yesterday, Barack Obama decided it was a good idea to come out of his house, save Kamala Harris's sinking ship in Pittsburgh, and talk shit about Trump for a few minutes, and then gather a bunch of black men behind signage that says black male voters, and basically tell them, you better vote for Kamala Harris. The numbers are not looking good, and especially amongst the brothers. You guys supported me when I was running, and I expect you to support her. I expect you to vote for Kamala Harris. It's the audacity for me. First of all, you can't tell any black man what to do ever. That's first of all. Second of all, when is he massa? When is he gonna think that he could go in front of a bunch of black men and tell them what to do? Like, is that what we're doing right now? Like, who made him in charge of what black men do or don't do? So the small percentage of black men who were either going to vote for Kamala Harris or were leaning and undecided but leaning towards her, they're absolutely not going to vote for Kamala Harris. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to vote for Trump, but they're for sure not voting for her. So whatever their little plan was to like play in the emotions of black people or make black men feel like they can't make their own damn decisions, that backfired. It's all over the internet. Barack Obama, that was a bad move. It was a bad move. You did nothing for black men back in the day. So how do you get to come out being like a billionaire telling black men who are working their asses off to pay for things and take care of their families that they better do as you say? Wow. Come in the comments, repost and share this, and tell me what the black men think about this, because I'm sure they're hot.
Barack. As a native of Chicago that watched your policies not do a single thing for black people, not anything for crime, not anything for a better way of living, it is insulting that you decided to get up here and pander us as black men for not voting for Kamala Harris. You are only voting for Kamala yourself because you have no choice. We both know that deep down inside, you wanted the open convention, but the optics didn't look good. We also both know that there were way better candidates that you guys could have went with for president, but you guys didn't. And so now they bring you out, the big guns, because they need you to come up here and clean up this mess. Because you know what? You are a well-spoken man. Because I can tell you right now that your nominee is not. I can tell you that your nominee doesn't answer questions. Your nominee stutters all the time, and she spits out word salads. And you expect for us to vote for her. I'm black. I'm not stupid. I vote for policies. I vote for what's going to allow for my way of living to change. I vote so that everyone can have a chance and continue to be a free thinker and not have censorship. And then you got up here on this stage and insulted every black man in America. And it's not okay. And so now you guys are sitting here and you want us to vote for this administration, who has caused the highest inflation, grocery prices suck, and they gonna let everybody in the border. And if I remember, Barack Obama, you were the deporter in chief. You deported over 3 million people. And for your nominee to not even be smart enough that when someone asks her a question, what would she do differently than what Joe Biden did, and her to say nothing?
Dang. He's telling the truth, though.
Is even more wild. So before you decide to get up here and attack every single black man on this planet, I want you to take a self-reflection and think about the behaviors that you're doing and that you're trying to put on us because we don't want to vote for Kamala. I want you to really look down deep inside of yourself and say, would you really vote for her if you wasn't a part of the Democratic Party? If it wasn't your job, would you really vote for her? I'm pretty sure you wouldn't. Because the scrutiny that you went through to become president, she hasn't even went through. No one voted for her at all. You guys inserted her. And so now here you come, being the sweeper in chief to try to clean up the mess. But I got a surprise for you, Barack. We are going to continue to be free thinkers. We're going to continue to fight people who want to censor us. We're going to continue to be the people that we need to be, because we are starting to arise. Because I don't like the word woke. We are starting to arise to the occasion so that we can create a better America where Democrats and conservatives and independents can live freely and prosperous. And you're right, we do need to turn the page, because the book that I'm reading right now, if I turn the page based on what Kamala said about her own self, I would be signing up to read the book a little bit longer for 4 more years. And that's not what I want to do. Barack.
So they sent Obama to come get us and bring us back to the Democratic plantation. They sent Obama back to come get us. He insulted us. He said, I was highly offended when he said the only reason we voting for Donald Trump is because we don't want a woman in president, so we come up with, yo, nigga, shut up. Shut up. You don't speak for me. You don't speak for me. You don't speak for a lot of us. Fuck out of here. You gonna tell us what we think? Come on, man. Who the fuck are y'all? That shit pissed me off, man. Fuck out of here. You gonna tell us how we need to think and what we should think? Man, shut up, man. Fuck out of here. You gonna bring Barack Obama. He gonna play us. First y'all call us low informed voters, low information voters, misinformed voters. Now you wanna come out and throw my mama in this shit. Fuck that. If my mom's was president, I ain't voting for her. My grandmother could be my own. I wouldn't vote for them either. If they got the same radical policies. Shit pissing me off, man. Watching this video with this motherfucker, man. This dude gonna come up here and tell us how we need to think. Yo, get the fuck out of here, man. Go back to the White House. Or wherever you came from, Barry. Now you want to address us like brothers. I ain't been your brother. Where was you at 2008, Negro? Fuck out of here.
Alright, this message is to former President Barack Obama. The congregation of black men does not need your advice or your guidance on who to vote for. Especially when you showed your true character and your true colors when you were the president. When you were the president, last time I recall, you had the House, you had the Senate, and you had the executive branch for 2 years. You could have passed anything, any legislation that would have helped black men in the black community. But I wonder, what did you choose to make your main focal point? The LGTB community. And that's cool and all, that can be your prerogative. But don't try to bring your dusty ass back over here to black men and think that you can tell us who to vote for. No, we're not voting for Kamala Harris. We don't give a damn about all of these scare tactics that you use against black women. Oh my God, they're going to take away abortion. They're going to take away our food stamps, welfare, government assistance. They're going to take away all of our handouts. They're not going to forgive our student loans. Well, guess what? Black men, we don't give a damn. Our community is destroyed. Our women are raising the kids, and our kids are destroying and tearing up the goddamn street. The same people that you made your main focal point are endangering the minds of our women. They are endangering the minds of our kids. And let's get another thing straight. You're an East African, half Kenyan man who wasn't raised with the same values as your dad because he wasn't there. Most of us in America, we are West African by ancestry. Igbo, Yoruba, Angola, Congolese, Ghanaian, Ashanti. That's what we are. So no, I don't know what your values are, but I know what most black men's values are, and they're not the same values that the Democratic Party holds. So I'm gonna tell you like this, I could give a damn about the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, but I'm gonna go vote for Trump. You wanna know why? Just to let black women know who run this shit. Alright, this.
And that's what I mean. people very well could have been on the fence about who they were going to vote for. And for me, I was slowing out for the longest time because I was like, okay, I'm definitely not voting for Trump. If Biden was running again, I was hoping he was going to drop out and they was going to hold like an emergency conference or something so we could vote and see who'd be the best candidate. But instead of this, threw this woman into our faces. And I was just like, okay, I don't want to vote for her either. I have seen nothing about her that made me want to vote for her, especially her past comments, statements, and her history and her record. There's just nothing there. So I going ahead and said I'm going to go ahead and vote for the Green Party, Jill Stein.
So I watched the interview with Jill Stein on The Breakfast Club. And I don't care what none of y'all say. Jill Stein ate that interview up. And let me just say that the multitude of videos that I've consistently seen and tweets that I've seen about this interview all centered around gotcha moment. The gotcha moment where Angela Rye says that AOC won and Jill Stein has never won. Because as a society, I thought that we were taught that if at first you don't succeed, try and try again. Something that we know President Joe Biden has done because he's run for president 4 times. And something that we also know that winning doesn't necessarily create change and impact. It just means that you won, i.e. Donald Trump. And may I continuously reiterate that popular votes don't necessarily win elections. Oh yeah, and the other gotcha moment where when Angela Rye kept consistently interrupting Jill Stein and asking her how many members were in Congress, and Jill Stein answered the number incorrect, which I'm sure a good portion of Americans don't know either. But that's beside the point. You all have kept circulating videos on those gotcha moments, but have yet to mention that Jill Stein has had definitive and concise answers when it comes to reparations for Black American people, free healthcare for all people, the dismantling of cop cities across the United States, and rent stabilization across the board because everybody's one check away from being homeless. These are the issues in which you all say as to why it is that you can't focus on what is happening in Palestine because you have to focus on what's going on at home. And Angela Rye, a trained litigator, sat up there like a disgruntled teenager because as opposed to actually focusing on the talking points and the policies in which Jill Stein was presented, Angela was more focused on her own friendship with Kamala Harris. And while folks continue to make the arguments that they don't see Jill Stein until it's election season, it is your business and your job to know as a citizen who has the right to vote who it is that are your options to vote for. It is your job to know that Jill Stein has multiple degrees from Harvard. It is your job to know that she is a physician and has practiced medicine for over 25 years. It is your job to know that she has advocated for health and environmental justice. Because similar to what it is that you don't know about Jill Stein, you cannot rattle off without Google what it is that Kamala Harris has done while being in office for the past 3.5 years.
And you know, when she mentioned the whole entire popular vote thing, that did make me remember back, I didn't want to say back in 2016, whenever Hillary Clinton was running. Now, keep in mind, her even getting the nominee and running for president was controversial in itself. However, though, she still won the popular vote, right? I mean, the popular vote between her and Trump. So a lot of people thought she was going to win based off the popular vote. Even Trump, well, people around Trump at that time, when it was announced that he actually officially won, even Trump himself was surprised. So just because you have a popular vote doesn't mean you're going to win. So this election, if I'm being honest with you, I don't see why we're getting so upset about it. Because they're going to put in office whoever they want to put in office. If they really wanted Hillary Clinton in office, she would be in office back in 2016. She would have won the popular vote, which normally does mean who's going to win the overall election. But it didn't work out that way. You know, the Electoral College is something that should be outdated and gone with, in my opinion. Because if we, the people, are voting and choosing, why should we let some Electoral College have the final say? You see what I mean? So, do I think that Kamala is still going to win? Yeah. And I think it's going to cause a big uproar. A lot of people are going to be upset. But I really do see her winning. Do I want her to win? No. Do I think she deserves to win? No. But we've seen this play before. We just got to pay attention to the history. And this is recent history, too. This is less than 10 years ago. So if Kamala doesn't win, I'll be very surprised. Because I don't see no winning Trump in office. And let's be real here. I have done plenty of videos on why I do not want Trump in office and how he's fake and all this other kind of stuff, too. But this is strictly about Obama. Our two-party system is too messed up. We need a third option. We need a fourth option. We need multiple options. It shouldn't be so easy for it's one or the other. It's kind of one of those things that, hey, if you don't succeed, keep trying again because you only got to beat that one person one time. It shouldn't be one versus one for a country that is so multicultural, diverse as America is. Anyways, that's all I had to say about this. I hope you guys have a great day. Like, comment, and subscribe if you already haven't. It seems like my stream has been kind of messing up so far, so hopefully it all came through. You guys have a great day. Thank you.